and welcome to video 2 in my 4-part gift wrapping video series. This time we're going to be trying a new technique of Japanese pleating. It is a folding paper technique and it is brilliant for making any gift look amazing, particularly if it's a special gift for somebody. Now, once you've mastered this technique, it does open up a window of being able to create lots of other ways of using pleating in your gift wrapping, but we need to start with the basics. So as in part 1, we need to look at how to measure and cut our paper. So we do it exactly the same. The one thing that I would recommend is always allow a little bit of extra length on your gift wrapping paper because of the pleating. Now you will see when we actually come to wrap the gift what I mean by allowing a little bit extra. It's so easy to get carried away and start creating lots of folds and lots of pleats in your gift wrapping, but what can happen is you run out of paper. So this piece of paper is pre-cut. I'm using exactly the same as we did previously in video 1. If you've not visited video 1 yet, obviously I recommend going to watch that video first. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move my box to one side and turn it over. And I'm going to start by putting my 5mm fold in the edge of my gift, just the same as we always do when we're wrapping anything. Now, depending on the size of your gift will determine how big the folds and pleats actually are going to be. Now my box is not a very big box, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold over, and they're going to be about 2.5 centimetres. And I'm folding it, this is not concertinaing the paper, I'm folding it away from me. So that's one fold. And they're going to be exactly the same size. Now, if you're worried about getting the fold accurate and the same each time you do it, cut yourself a piece of cardboard in the shape that you're going to create your fold, and this will mean you know that it's always going to be the same size. So that was my first one, that's my second, third, fourth, and I'm going to do a fifth one. Now it does mean something different when you have pleats in your paper. Odd numbers represent joy, so we always want to try and aim for an odd number of pleats. Now I've created those folds. Just to recap, we've gone away from me and we've folded the paper, not concertina. I'm now going to turn my piece of paper and I'm going to undo all except that first 5mm turn. Now, if you're using quite firm paper, you might want to make sure that those folds are nice and sharp. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to nip just a tiny amount of my paper and fold it towards me all the way along, just making sure that it's the same and it's nice and neat. And then you can be quite firm again, depending on what type of paper you are using. Just make sure that you create that first little crease. And we move on to the next one, and you can repeat that process. I'm going to just create that nice sharp edge. It makes it easier when I'm just nipping a tiny little bit. What I mean by a tiny little bit, literally a couple of millimeters. Again, just turn it in and I'm bringing it towards me. So that's our second. Again, press it down nice and firmly. And the aim is you want to have these folds as equally spaced as you possibly can. Again, I'm just going to put that crease in there so it's nice and sharp, and continue to pinch couple of millimeters towards me. Now there is no reason, once you get more experienced at doing this, why you can't fold 2 towards you, leave a gap, and 2 away from you. But that's when you have had a little bit of practice with this basic step. So again, I've got another one there, and just keeping my creases and folds as close to the same size as absolutely possible. And my last one, just create that. And again, nip it, bring it towards me. And that's our final one. Okay, so what we have is folds towards us, all the same distance, and nice and neat. Now, if we went ahead and wrapped our box as we did in video 1, and we didn't actually fix these pleats at all, the minute you start pulling and tightening onto your box, these will all come undone. So there's one thing that we need to do first, is I'm just going to turn my paper over, and I'm just going to take some normal tape, and I'm going to put a piece of normal tape just to hold those folds in place. And stick a bit. Now, depending on how big your gift is, obviously you can decide how many pieces of paper, pieces of tape even, you need to use, but it is literally just to hold them in place. Oh, that was a bit short. But it just means that when you come to wrap your gift, all your hard work creating the pleats isn't in vain. So there you can see them there. And then we go ahead and we wrap our box exactly the same as we wrap any box. I'm just going to move that out of the way. So I put my box in the centre. Now, because we've got the pleats, one thing that you then need to decide is where you would like them positioned on your box, and that is entirely up to you. You could have them starting at the bottom, you could have them in the middle of your gift. That is entirely your decision. So I'm going to position them in about the middle. So I'm just going to make sure that when I bring my piece of paper underneath, again, you can put a nice firm crease on the edge, that they are positioned pretty much in the middle. I'm quite happy with that. So I've got a bit of more space at the top here, which is absolutely fine. And I'm just going to crease the edges. Now, what I need to do is I need to grab my double-sided tape again, and I'm just going to put a little bit of tape across my folded edge. And I've obviously already pre-creased my paper so I know where it's going to be. And once I'm happy, I can then peel off my double-sided tape and position my folds. Okay, and there's our one first piece of tape positioning on our box. Now again, we go ahead as normal and close the ends. Just be wary of the fact that obviously with the extra folds within your paper, it is going to be a little bit more bulky. And I am going to fold this in. Now I know I've got some paper catching, so I just need to move my box. And again, you can just press those creases down and be quite firm. And we do make sure that it's pushed right into the corner. Again, I always recommend gift wrapping on a firm surface so you get these nice firm and sharp edges. Use the palm of your hand and fingers to push that into there, right against the edge of the box. And again, you could go ahead and just stick your tape on there, but we do actually want a nice neat envelope edge. And I'm just going to lift that up and fold it so that it meets the nice edge. Now I wouldn't recommend starting to try this technique until you've mastered the basics of wrapping a box. It's just gone a bit further there. And get my double-sided tape, put it onto there. Again, if you are using quite a heavyweight paper, you may want to use a bit of your double-sided tape along each edge of there. And that is our first end closed. And again, we repeat it on the other side. Now this time I have a little bit of an overlap, and I am going to trim some off the edge. And I like to go all the way round just to make sure again, keep those nice. I know not quite enough there. We might want to trim a little bit more off. When you've got the extra pleats, it does mean that your paper feels a little bit more bulky. Move those out of the way. That's better. Okay, so press those nice and firmly into the edges as we did on the other end, and fold it in and press down. And fold it in and press down. And again, you can actually turn it on. It's much easier when you've done one end, and you can then stand it on the top, crease the edge, fold it back over, and that's our third piece of tape. So again, for this style of gift wrapping, we are only using 3 pieces of our double-sided tape, and peel off the back and then close as we did the other end. Now, what we have is pleated paper. We can actually raise the edges of the paper to give an even more 3D effect. Just run my fingers along to give that raised effect, but you can see it gives an extra dimension to your gift wrapping, and that's the basic introductory stage of Japanese pleating. And once you've mastered this, there are many different new techniques that you can actually create by pleating on an angle, creating fans with it, and trying lots of different other sections as well.